the charts. I can look at that a bit later. Right. Hey guys. So let's obviously have a look at what has happened. During obviously Asia Gold, like we predicted yesterday, has pumped up. We have had, let's just have a look through here. Yen's obviously gained a bit of its strength back. AUD's, started to fall. We're currently hitting the lows of yesterday. London's Lon the London session. Um, let's just do an overview. Right. So we've obviously the stock market's recovered ever so slightly, up about 0.5%, which is quite good for this time in the morning. Had some negative China CPI. It doesn't seem to have affected Aussie much because that's still remains one of the strongest currencies this morning. We don't have a lot of news as always. We've only got the state news, as you guys would have noticed. So, we're obviously still, in anticipation of this agreement. I think it's going to continue for October. Um, so yeah. Um, but let's wait and see. Oh, random stat. All right, I have to share this. So basically, I read it this morning that there's 8 billion people on this planet. All right, and Elon Musk is worth 500 billion. So if he gave everyone a billion, he would still be worth. No, sorry. If he gave everyone a million, he would still be worth, yeah, 492 billion, something crazy. So, maybe if he wakes up on the on the good side of bed, everyone might find a few more zeros in their bank. But anyway, right, dollar has broken through 99. All right, this is pretty good, but obviously it's not as clean. It's a little bit of a situation like we had yesterday. Obviously, got rather than having this level here to contend with, we've now got this one, which actually we have broken through. All right, so we've also got a little bit of a level here, but we always know we're going to test one of two items. All right, we're going to test 99, right, and we're going to test. Oh, don't want that one. And we're going to test, or we're going to test 98 500. I actually think we might see 98 500. I haven't looked into much into Jerome Powell's speech yesterday. It didn't seem to affect markets too much. I think everyone's anticipating him being on a bit of a downer, at the moment anyway. So yeah, it hasn't really changed very much. So let's wait and see. Um, so yeah, we're obviously odds on bet would be that we're going to be hitting 98 500. Now let's go into strength of pairs. So routine. All right. Well, we'll obviously do it this morning. You want that overview of what you're kind of looking at. Then obviously, you want your routine of checking the dollar. All right. Then we're going to go into strength of pairs. To see obviously what is happening this morning. We've obviously got Aussie at the top, then yen again performing well. We've then got NZD as expected. We've got pound. We've got NZD pound. We've got Swiss. I reckon Swiss is probably, yeah, Swiss euro. Then we've got CAD, and then the dollar. Oh, the dollar, US dollar. All right, that's right, isn't it? Four, four. Yeah, four. Right. Okay, so let's just have a look. Obviously, euros up on the dollar, pounds up on the dollar, CAD's up on the dollar, Aussie's up on the dollar, Swiss is up on the dollar, and NZD's up on the dollar, and also yen is up. So that's going to confirm that obviously we've got our top three and our bottom three. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that these are the ones we're going to trade. However, that's obviously the ideal. So let's, start off with obviously Aussie, right? Aussie here. Euro starting to recover. Let's just check the dollar very quickly. Yeah, I don't know why. So we got euro. Let's have a look at pound. Yeah, pound's negative. Euro will obviously indirectly, strengthen if the dollar is weak, because obviously it's the most traded asset, and obviously they are directly correlated. If we're going to make any kind of a pullback, we're going to be targeting this area here. All right, but because that's where obviously price has struggled the most previously, so that there is a potential tail off here opportunity that obviously we can pre-plan. So anywhere around this kind of area to push any kind of sideways movement here. Right, we're going to be looking for obviously some continued Aussie strength to get us down to here. So this is going to be number one. All right, but anywhere kind of around this area here, it does need to pop up. So there's obviously no rush to post that one. Pound, yeah, not really worried about that at the moment. Not really worried too much. I think yeah, we've obviously got Asia, but I wouldn't blame anyone for taking that. Euro NZD, a little bit messy. Let's just have a look at this on some higher time frames. As you can see here, we've got this consolidation forming here, which is quite interesting. Let's just change the color of that so it's nice and easy. Let's do an orange. I haven't used that in a while. So yeah, I think that if we, but then we've obviously got support here too. So we're kind of bunching up here. My kind of odds on, and it all depends. Like I'd said, the dollar's got a nice way to move here. So if we do move to the downside, then obviously what will end up happening, it's going to obviously end up dragging everything down with it. So there isn't really anything for me at the moment. I'd like to see a breakout of here if we're going to be trading this, and then obviously we can look for not a crazy position, but potentially something like this. Nice 1 to 2. So I like that too. But obviously, like I said, we need to see this break. We need to see a retest and then a continuation here. So let's highlight that. Euro CAD, Euro's starting to strengthen a bit actually. CAD's starting to weaken. Let's have a look at this. So we've got, I mean, if we were going to trade it, let's just have a little look at this on a bit of a higher time frame. Technically, yeah, there's probably space there, if I'm honest with you. Right, so hourly we've broken through. 30-minute would be the the kind of gauge here. We want this to close below, and then any type of a retest into this area, we could then, see probably not pushing it too far, see these lows here get hit. All right, so we could see these lows get hit, and it would be something like this. So obviously those two there. So let's highlight them. Yen, I'm not overly interested in. Yen's one which AUD might be the only one because it's one of the strongest pairs. We obviously got a nice area of consolidation here. If we do break out, this could be a good one. So potentially pushing up here. Obviously, Aussie being the strongest performing pair could be a good shout here to obviously, capitalize on. We obviously need this level here to break. Let's try breaking a few times. We'll also be breaking out of Asia. I'm just gonna have a swig of coffee. And then obviously we can then potentially capitalize on that. Perfect. Right. So I'm going to highlight that one too. Euro be an interesting one. Yeah, Euro is really starting to recover early. So wait and see gold. I mean, you're just looking for the lowest place to buy right now. It's just trending quite tightly. Could potentially come back and test this Asia high, which lines up, very nicely with the London opening range. That would be where I'd be looking to kind of uh, capitalize on buying something. It will be anywhere between this range here. Nice, obviously push down, and then obviously a continuation to the upside. Where though, no one knows what we're supposed to be targeting here. You're obviously recovering. AUD. Wow, look at that. Right, let's give a couple of alternative options if we do get the dollar pumping up this way. So then obviously we can utilize both positions. Okay, so if dollar was starting to perform, we're going to want to do CAD, probably CAD and euro. All right, so let's have a look at euro on a higher time frame here, see if we can gauge any kind of movement here. I mean, it's not a very nice chart outlook here at all. We've got this level here. 16500 might be quite interesting. Let's have a look here. But I can't see the anticipation for the dollar. But obviously, 16500 might potentially be, something that we want to be monitoring the dollar on, so somewhere around this area here. All right, we want to know, what is going to happen. Are we going to come up here and, continue back down, or are we going to do this and continue to the upside? All right. Obviously, if dollar remains weak, Aussie is going to be one. Let's just have a look at this on a daily. Yeah, we've still got plenty of movement. We've got obviously this level here, so let's just have a look overall. Overall, I mean, there's a heavy layer of resistance here, which we need to be careful. Swiss uh, CAD would be one again if obviously dollar starts to strengthen. What would I be looking out for? Probably a breakout of this range here, and then a continuation up to these highs, because obviously CAD it will weaken. It's one of the weakest pairs, so you could probably have something like this as an alternative. So that will probably be. Did we mark anything? Yeah, euro we've obviously got marked up. Nothing really. Obviously NZD I'm not really worried about. Yeah, it's again, you saw yesterday. I mean, I haven't had a US session like that, and I know that gold helped me, but obviously, everything we touched yesterday afternoon turned to gold, but obviously, literally, but obviously, this is one which is, it's we're just gonna have to be a little bit more patient here. I do like GBP, GBP AUD is a almost pretty much quick, fire. Obviously, Euro. AUD, I'm not 100% sure we're going to reach this area, before having any kind of a turnaround if the dollar does, seem to strengthen. So we could potentially just make this area a little bit bigger and just obviously expect this kind of area here. We're trending to the downside. We're below the EMA. Obviously, Aussie is a lot stronger than Euro. So if we did get a nice push up, then yeah, potentially might be a good one for us to enter. So let me just put these in. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let me just put these in, and then obviously everyone will obviously know what we are looking at too if they can't hop on this call. So, right, let's just put here. So, looking at dollar, um, two scenarios. If dollar weakens, oh, someone trying to join. There we go. If dollar weakens, you always need to have, you're obviously different outlooks here. Oh, let me just get This one here. There we go. You guys can obviously tell too that you need to be on these lives really, or you need to obviously make sure that you're watching them because it is important that you're obviously understanding the pro process, and I do think that even if you don't watch them live, it it's handy, because you do see me go through, my whole routine, and you can obviously then I'm going to slip in the next one. I'm going to slip in as AUDJPY. So 'cause I'd quite like that one as well. Right. You need to everyone needs to be in a routine um, because, sorry, I'm just putting everything in, um, because you obviously, we all know that the FX markets are obviously open 24 hours a day, 5 days a week. Now they're open like that for a reason. But obviously, if you don't look at the big industries, that they will only be trading one session. Yeah, if dollar strengthens up to 99, that they'll all be so I'm going to put USD CAD because I like that one. There we go. You know, we need to, like I always mention to everyone, we need to make sure our brains are, switched on. Yeah. Um, and you cannot be switched on um for yeah 24 hours a day, 5 days a week, so you obviously want, I think dollar's recovering a bit. That would potentially boost up USDJPY. I'm going to add this one in. We're going to add a yen in, a potential yenny wenny. There we go. But obviously we want this to clear here. So we want this one to clear here. So we want this to clear like this. There we go. So let's add USD as our option number two. We've obviously got Euro there too. You guys have obviously we've been through that, but obviously I'm going to put USD USD and then we're going to do a buy. All right, but obviously we are monitoring here. Let's go through what we're kind of looking out for here for dollar strength. Right, if we were to hone the support in, we'd have to hone it in probably about here. Yeah. So we are looking to confirm dollar strength. Let's get these back to where they were there. We're obviously looking for dollar to break above here and then continue. That obviously will drag Euro USD down quite hard. So we've obviously got, if I get rid of this and this and this, because pairing these two together, I do really, really like it. But obviously, it's just trying to. This is what you're trying to do. Charts here are very, very messy. All right. You can see here, trend was trending nicely. Even here, it's trending nicely. It's this bit here, which I don't particularly, like. We have made a, new high. All right. Potentially we could see something like this, happen, come back and test obviously these areas that would be justifiable. We'd be, admitting we're obviously in the uptrend, but then obviously we've got to look through the levels, the harsh levels of support we've got to go through here to get there. All right. And obviously these are all things that we've got to look out for. So probably two, probably three actually, that we'd have to be a little bit careful of if we were going to take this to the downside here. Yeah. So that is, one thing that we would obviously have to be careful of if we wanted to. I'd probably want, if I was honest, I'd probably want this one to break. I'd want to come down into probably would only target like this area here because we're obviously going against trend. The stops could be above then, and then I would be looking for something like this to then happen. But obviously I would be aware. Yes, we obviously broke through one of them, and that's why I wouldn't enter up here. I'd want that first confirmation. We'd have enough of a space here to move our stops to break even, and then obviously it would be a nice kind of steady trade in. But yeah, let's wait and see. CAD's looking um, nice here. Means gold's still pumping, so that's one of those. GBP AUD, like I said, I really like this one. This is probably my favorite out of all of these. You're at NCD, nothing really, but obviously, we'll monitor this area here. Um, but I do think, if we get this continuation, but this might be one that we write off. And obviously, Euro, AUD, I like this coming back into this area before the continuation to the downside. I actually think Pound AUD is my favorite. And then obviously we've got the others here pending, what's happening. But I do think AUD if you get a continued weakness of dollar, then obviously this will push up very nicely. So yeah, I think we're going to hold off here. Let's have a look. Morning, Dan. Do you open three trades? Do you close them separately? How long do you hold positions that 30-minute max and go about your day? So, but basically, the only reason that I open three is, keeps me, it keeps me kind of, in yeah, it just gives me, lots of options. Most of the time I get up to a, certain target and then I will close out. But you imagine, right, if you've got three entries, not quite as high as what you could take them, and then say price went up to, here, all right? You might close this one out, yeah? You might, move stops to break even on this one, and then you might let this one just run. All right, because then, we've obviously got the option of, if we come down here, yeah, right, this one would be stopped out at break even, and then, potentially this one's still running, but we've got profit. I've always just it's just something that I've done personally where I just like having three. I don't know. Maybe three's my lucky number, but yeah, I just I think even having just two positions is absolutely suffice because it will just give you the options, of if you want to hold one or let one run, or if you're struggling with holding trades, then obviously you can close one of them early, but then obviously let one run. It's trading is completely you, and you've got to and this is where I'm going to try and help everyone a lot more. But you've got to really work out what your kind of trading personality is. What your niche is, and obviously how you can capitalize on it. So I kind of worked out pretty early on. I'm never obviously that great at holding my trades because I don't like holding over night. I don't want to be holding a trade into like 1 o'clock really, unless it's in, some quite big profit. So yeah, I found out my kind of routine and what works best for um, me. So yeah, um, let's just do this last one. I'm always conscious these. I don't want to make them too long, otherwise no one will watches them back. Morning, mate. Could you please explain to me how you work out pairs when you're doing your routine? All right. So yeah, we have been through this, but I'm obviously always happy to go through it again to do it quite quickly. Yeah, right. I've got yen is the only one where I've got all eight pairs. All right, or there's seven here. All right, so plus it's a lot easier for me to do it originally on yen because yen is always the second one. If you wanted to do it on the dollar, it's not as quick because obviously USD CAD, you know, CAD is up, but obviously USD's at the beginning as opposed to the end. Swiss is up, but USD's at the beginning as opposed to the end. So if you want to do it quick, you can do it again against anything, but obviously I like to use yen, and then I'm just going off the percentage change. It just gives you. It's not gospel because remember this is always changing. All right, we've got even t today. All right, it's not changed too much, but we've obviously got USD CAD here. We can tell that's starting to pump. I do like this. So we've got to be aware that obviously it can change, but yeah, you just grade them, and then you can obviously cross-reference them, and yeah, it should be good. Right, we've got AED USD, sorry, USD CAD, and I like USD JPY. But yeah, so you just grade them, and then what I'm finding, explanation wise for everyone is if you just circle the bottom three and the top three, you want to try and find a trade against these. But remember, London session, I've noticed more. We can get these big swings, in regards to we might come in and US dollar might be middle of the range by the middle of London's session. So, we obviously always need to be aware of, that and obviously how it works out. But yeah, so that's it. But yeah, that's obviously me done for this morning. I'll keep you guys updated. And yeah, should be another good day, guys. Let's make sure we take a lot of money out of these markets. Yeah. Have a good one.